Across the country, the demand for energy, both for personal consumption and business consumption, is on the rise. From electric vehicles to cloud computing and cryptocurrencies, Canadians need more energy. Beyond our own domestic needs, our energy sector is now front and center with the election win of Donald Trump south of the border. Joining us now to discuss what's next in Canada's energy sector is Brendan Caldwell, director at Caldwell Securities Limited. Brendan, thank you for joining us.
Always happy to be here, Teresa.
Now, with the push on electric vehicles, the mining of cryptocurrencies, and the rapid development of AI, the need for energy is increasing. How will developing technologies in AI affect the energy sectors?
Well, all the big companies, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, are looking out over the next few years, decades, and realizing that their need for power will be insatiable. All of this technology that we're talking about now, to actually run it on a national or continental or global scale, will take an immense amount of energy, to the point that some of these big companies are even looking at having their own nuclear facilities, or as Homer Simpson would say, nuclear. The issue, I think, I don't know how that squares with the global non-nuclear proliferation treaty, but it is interesting to think that what you think of as a computer company, a tech company, an internet company, would need to actually go and look for its own energy generating solutions, because what is out there on the grid may not service what is to come.
Now, talking about looking for energy solutions, is Canada facing a huge electricity problem?
Well, you wouldn't think. I mean, we're pioneers in the nuclear business. We have more fresh water than virtually, well, any other country on Earth. We have 20% of the world's fresh water, and therefore the tremendous ability to generate hydroelectricity, electricity from waterfalls like the Stratton-Beck plant down at Niagara Falls. But there are little plants all over, or little and big plants like Churchill Falls up in Labrador, to generate hydroelectricity. So we have lots and lots on an absolute basis, and we do export lots to the United States. But the demand may even outstrip that, particularly if we all go to electric cars. What's more, I think, is that the price will continue to rise. And if you think people are animated now about the price of accommodation and food, if energy prices really take off, I think, particularly in this frozen corner of the British Empire, it's going to be a real issue, even for Canadians, with all the capacity that we have or should have.
And what would you say the risks of an increased interest in nuclear energy are?
Well, I think there's risks in any potential solution. The risks, of course, with some of the more green energies like solar and like wind, sun always doesn't shine, and the wind doesn't always blow. But nuclear power, which is fairly consistent, and actually the CANDU reactors have had a tremendously positive reputation for safety. I mean, there is obviously still a risk. Now, the fact that the original ones they built were within a very short distance of the largest population centers might have required some thinking through. But south of the border, I think Microsoft, or a subsidiary of Microsoft, is looking at putting back the 3 Mile Island project on. Now, my generation would remember that as really one of the first nuclear meltdowns. Now, it was all contained within the reactor, and nothing really bad happened, but it became a byword or a cautionary tale for nuclear energy in North America. And obviously, we've had both Chernobyl and the Japanese disaster thereafter. So there are, of course, risks with everything. I think that nuclear does have risks, but to the extent that we've learned from past mistakes, at least those mistakes should be containable.
And what should investors consider moving forward?
Well, what we kind of like are the picks and shovels kind of businesses that are not necessarily the ones generating the power, but like Quanta Services in the US that helps harden the electricity grid. Comfort Systems that has air conditioning, which you may think, what does that have to do with anything? Well, to be able to provide cooling for all these data centers. So I think there are infrastructure type projects that may not have the risk of of nuclear, but also don't have the capacity constraints. In fact, will benefit from the need to expand capacity. So I think those are the kinds of businesses that should do well regardless, because I think there's going to be a tremendous demand for more electricity going forward away from the fossil fuel area. And so any company that can help facilitate that, expand that, make it more efficient will probably do well in the coming years.
Well, as always, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Teresa.